Linga lichona njani izulu kandaba mthwakazi omuhle muri eZimbabwe khwazwayi muri eZimbabwe ndinomkamchira mchongo chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove. What's good muri eZimbabwe mthwakazi omuhle. Welcome to The Connection, Studio 7's very own youth program that targets tackling anything and everything youth related. We're coming to you from Studio 7, a Voice of America, on Tuesday the 30th of June 2020. muri eZimbabwe, the last day of June. Ontanga Zimbabwe muhle tinomkamchira mchongo chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection muineni Mike Hove. Muri Zimbabwe tino urombo kuti kwanisa kukupa ichirongo ichisemazuva ose. Unfortunately mthwakazi muhle Zimbabwe muhle silusizi ngempela tino urombo. We apologize muri Zimbabwe, we're not able to give you our program as per usual. This program is pre-recorded because of umkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus. We are all recording to say makaya. We're all recording from our homes. That's what COVID-19 has had to do with us. Zvisine muri eZimbabwe tiri pano pachirongo chedu cheve chidiki uhlelo The Connection lilami uMike Hove. Nasi mchirongo muri eZimbabwe tikendera mberi tichibata nyaya yezvechirwere checoronavirus, umkhuhlane wecoronavirus. Siqhubekela phambili sikhangela lo mkhuhlane. We're continuing the discussion on COVID-19. Now, a lot of people seem to be worried vachiona uka manamba evanhu vabatwa nechirwere ichi achiendera mberi achikwira. We seeing a lot of people kanyangani bayasaba. They're all in fear as they look at the numbers increasing day by day. Zimbabwe zikhuluma nje 574 people have tested positive for COVID-19 elizweni. 7 have passed away and 152 have recovered. So a lot of people are looking at these numbers with kanyangani izinto azimanga kuhle. Now, during the same time as we have this conversation about umkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus, namhlanje elizweni nasi munyika, today in Zimbabwe, schools reopened. This is something that a lot of people have received with mixed emotions. Kulabanye abathi hayi ngempela schools were bound to open and let us live with this virus and figure out ukuthi impilo ilapho ukuqhubekela phambili na. How do we continue lives alongside these virus? And there's also others abakhangela phela the number of people who are contracting coronavirus elizweni. They're also looking at the fact that umkhuhlane lo is now spreading within community. Community-based spreading. And abantu bakhanya bayasaba bathi this is not the right time for izikolo to open. Zvisine muri eZimbabwe nasi zvikoro zvavhura. So we're also going to be tackling that issue as we also discuss, is Zimbabwe ready? I know we've had this conversation before, but with schools officially opening today, is Zimbabwe ready for such a stance? And now that this has happened, what needs to be done to ensure that teachers, invigilators, and the students themselves are safe for umkhuhlane we-coronavirus? So now, muri eZimbabwe ndidzo nyaya dzatiri kubata nasi muchirongwa. If you remember correctly, government vakanyatsotsanangura vakati aiwa zvikoro zvichange zvichivhura as soon and very soon. Namhlanje izikolo zivuliwe, and when they also touched on the program itself of schools reopening, liyakhumbula phela uhulumende washo ngempela ukuthi they're going to be opening in phases. So if phase 1 iqale namuhla with students writing their English paper. So now let's delve into it. Mthwakazi muhle Zimbabwe muhle, let's delve into it. COVID-19. As we speak, almost 10.5 million, 10,500,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19 worldwide. As we speak, the death toll is at over 500,000 worldwide, and 5,200,000 have recovered from COVID-19. Earlier on, I touched on Zimbabwe, but just to repeat, elizweni 574 people have tested positive for COVID-19, 152 have recovered, and 7 have passed away due to umkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus. Now, according to the most recent tweet issued by the Minister of Health, the amount of tests that have been done in the country, Zimbabwe has recorded over 67,195 COVID tests. 36,734 are RDT tests, and the country has increased its PCR tests. Doctors were concerned with city uhulumende kumele akhangele adinge phela indlela of increasing the amount of PCR tests that are done ngenxa yokuthi i-PCR test is more conclusive towards highlighting whether or not umuntu ulo mkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus coronavirus. So now, as we speak, at least 30,371 people have been tested using EPCR tests. Now, as once again, the data itself is showing by the day, uhulumende is now increasing, doing more PCR tests than they are doing RDT tests. So now, Zimbabwe muhle. During this time, the numbers are increasing. Is this the right time for Zimbabwe to open schools during, the fight against umkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus? So now, let's delve into it. Zimbabwe muhle, mthwakazo muhle. Namhlanje phela izikolo opened. Today schools opened, catering phela for abasakhulayo who were supposed to write imihloliso yabo, exams abo. English paper was written today. So now let's head over to the ZIMSEC PR officer, Nicolette Dlamini, who tells us more about how ZIMSEC prepared for this and what happened today in our Zimbabwean schools.
Today we saw English paper 1 being written at our centers, and the candidates that were expected to write, we can say 90% of the candidates have turned out for the examinations, and they turned out on time. We did see that their temperature checks as well as the sanitization was being done, and all candidates were wearing their face masks, so we're very happy with that.
What would you advise to transporters and other people that interact with kids before they get to the schools? What would you advise to them?
Well, the issue of social distancing is already being observed in the transportation, but what we could implore is that the transporters do allow candidates that are carrying their statements of entry to be allowed onto the buses or the minibuses so that they are able to access the examinations on time.
Nicolette Dlamini, ZIMSEC PR officer, uyasho ngempela ukuthi namhlanje izikolo zivuliwe, 90% of abafundi were in attendance. Ndizokazwa sithawurwa na Nicolette Dlamini wesangano re-ZIMSEC angachithi aiwa vazhinji vechidiki vaenda vakanonyora ma-examinations avo nhasi manzwa zvekare vachibvunza kanyaya yema-transporters zvichinzi aiwa nyaya ye-social distancing ngaendere mberi. We're also going to be delving deeper as to what exactly government has done to ensure some students are in a safe, clean environment. Now let's head over to Honorable Kane Matema, who held a press conference izolo yesterday. Vachinyatsotsanangura kuti hongu ma-examinations uyezve zvikoro zvichange zvichivhura nhasi, and he also highlights phela ukuthi what steps have been put in place by the ministry to ensure that these students are writing in a clean environment, are writing in a very sanitized environment, and also to ensure that COVID-19 doesn't spread within Zimbabwean schools. Let's head over to Honorable Kane Matema. The about footage you're about to watch is footage we received courtesy of Open Pali. If you go to watch the full conference of Honorable Kane Matema, go to Open Pali's Facebook page and you'll be able to watch it there.
The ministry would like to assure the nation that necessary measures have been put in place to ensure that the safety of candidates and invigilators during the course of the examination is of paramount importance. To this end, the thermometers, disinfectants, face masks, wash facilities, and hand sanitizers have been procured for all examination centers to protect from COVID-19. Examination centers have also been disinfected in line with Ministry of Health and Child Care guidelines. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to His Excellency President Edin Mnangagwa, Her Excellency the First Lady Amai Auxilia Mnangagwa, the Interministerial Task Force on the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, led by Honorable Vice President K.C. Binohadi, the Minister of Health and Child Care, and all the other ministries for their guidance and assistance in getting the centers ready for examinations in line with the World Health Organization WHO guidelines.
So liyamuzwa u-Honorable Kane Matema uyasho ngempela ukuthi hayi isikolo would continue. This was a press conference he gave izolo ndiyo press conference yabakaka nezuro vachinyatso tsana ngoro kuti aiwa zvikoro zvichange zvichivhura nhasi. Schools will be continuing namhlanje they will be opening. Of course earlier on you also saw Zimsek PR officer Nicolette Dlamini saying schools opened successfully. 90% of students were in attendance. Now let's head over to also abasakhulayo ngokwabo. We saw the junior parliament appearing before the parliamentary board that is responsible for education, as they were also highlighting their concerns as to whether or not they felt which iskolo would open. Let's head over to the junior parliamentary that was in a parliament.
COVID-19 is a pandemic that took the world by surprise, and many lives have been lost. We acknowledge the efforts by government to contain its spread. While the loss of educational opportunities here seriously affected many children and youth people, lives have been saved and young people generally feel safe and secure. However, we cannot hide forever. Life must go on. Stages of human development cannot be put on pause. We are at the height of our development. Some have just started to grasp basic principles of talking, writing, etc. And as for us, puberty is upon us. A lot must be learned, and a lot more decisions made. Young people of all ages are anxious. They are not sure how decisions made by their government will affect their progress in life. As regards school opening, we are concerned with a number of issues which we have listed below in no particular order of importance. We have missed almost 4 months of school. As a result, we are not ready for the examinations, whether in June or in November. If these exams were prepared to examine a completed syllabus, our parents lost a lot of income and income opportunities due to the lockdown and may not afford the school fees required for learners to attend school. As the lockdown is still in effect, we are concerned for students who do not attend formal schools. These learners do not wear uniforms and will struggle as they navigate their way to their schools and private institutions. There is a marked reduction of public transport since the ban of commuter omnibus. This will affect the traveling of learners to and from school.
So you are hearing there from the youth themselves. Bayaz Khulumela ngempela. That is junior parliament. They appeared before the parliament. They recently appeared before the parliamentary board responsible for education, and they were highlighting their concerns about schools reopening elizweni during a time whereby umkhuhlane lo coronavirus is increasing elizweni and it's also spreading within communities. As in Shilo ngempela ukuthi sikhuluma nje 574 people have tested positive for coronavirus, 7 people have died, and 152 have recovered. So abasakhulayo bayasho ngempela ukuthi it seems as though they feel they're not ready to start their exams. But of course it happened namhla. They also highlighted an issue of transport. Besithi kanti bona ngokwabo njengabasakhulayo there is a problem air transport ukuthi bafike ezikolo. This could also account for the 10% that Nicolette Dlamini or Zimsek said were not able to write a namhlanje. Now let's head over to the teachers unions themselves. They were against schools opening today. Of course, once again, it is very evident that schools open today. But yesterday, they were very vocal about their demands before schools reopen, and they also highlighted that some educators, in actual fact, chose not to go back to school because of, looking at the circumstances. And they also felt that preparations were not done enough. So let's head over to the students' organizations. Teachers' organizations. We have our TRUS, we have PTUZ, and we also have other, teachers' organizations that gave their input on this. Let's head over to them.
isu seamalgamated rural teachers union of Zimbabwe kukurudzira vamembers edu ese nemamwe maticha ose nevabereki participate muprocess iyi yemazamanishoni iyo ichakonzera njodzi dzakawanda kuvana nevarayiridzi. Tikukurudzira varayiridzi vagare kumba, vabereki vagare nevana vavo kumba kusvikira tasvika padanho rekuti takwanisa kuisa zvinodiwa kuchengetedza upenyu hwevana neupenyu hwevarayiridzi. Nyaya imwe yakunetsa inyaya yemuhoro wevarayiridzi vanofanira kunge vachiendawo kunoita zvemainvigilation. Vanhu vari kutambira mari shoma inoita kuti vatadze kutosvika kwavari kufanira kunge vachishandira panguva yekuti mitengo yezvinhu yakwira. Varayiridzi vakutambira mari inokwanisa kuita $20.
Vari kuitira vana veZimbabwe utsinye. Chinoti chiri kuita kuti mhanyirire chacho chiiko? Tatadza sei kugara tomboti August takunopinda muna August kwakudziya maexams onyorwa. Torega kuita riski nekuti vamwe vana vacho vari kuda kunyora maexams vatori mumakwarantine center imomo. Ingori bvonyongera, hapana ari kuziva zvaari kuita. Ende kuratidza kuti Ministry of Education yacho haiteereri. Vanhu vane mhesva mukono, vanhu vane ushwindi, vanhu vane nharo vanoti pamusana pekuti ndo vatungamiriri. Saka vari kungoita zvavanoda.
Varayiridzi takamira patakagara takamira kuti tinokwanisa kuti tiende kuinvigilation kunge zvinhu zvakaita samatesting kits, mathermometers, masanitizers namaPPEs zvava muzvikoro uyezve tichirespecta social distance kana kuti tatevedzera zvese zviri muWorld Health Organization standards zvinova zvisati zvatevedzerwa. Court ruling yanga yakarula kuti vakatenderana ministry nezimseki kati ichatevedzera izvozvo, but havana kutevedzera izvozvo. Zvikoro zvakawanda hazvisati zvafumigetewa. Saka varayiridzi vakamira pavanga vakamira kuti vanokwanisa kuzoinvigilata kana chete maWorld Health Organization standards amitwa uyezve zimseki yazvipira kuti inokwanisa kubhadhara varayiridzi avo vanenge vachizoinvigilata. Hurumende hapana zvayati yaita panyaya yokuchengetedza utano hwevarayiridzi pamwe chete navana vechikoro. Hurumende nezimseki zviri ngoti mazamanishini anonyorwa. Saka isu tiri kuona kuti upenyu hwevarayiridzi neupenyu hwavana vechikoro zvinhu zvakakosha. Saka kana pane choice yelife and death, ndinofunga kuti munhu wese anochuza zvakanaka kuona kuti kurarama kuri nani pane kuzvitongera rufu uyezve kucherera guva iwe uri mupenyu.
Alright, so liyazibonela nje izulu kandaba ukuthi hayi okwenzakalayo ezikolo liyabezwa. You are hearing there from the teachers unions themselves bezikhulumela besithi abona babona ngani hayi uhulumende akabe ready, uhulumende ujahile ngempela ukuvula izikolo. So you heard it from umnumzana Obet Masaraure, va Raymond Majongwe, va nava Takabafira Joe, or leaders within teachers unions themselves. So now let's head over to an interview. Mina ngixhume umnumzana uDokotela Sifiso Ndlovu owenhlanganiso eZimta. He basically breaks down to us in depth ukuthi kahle bona njengababalisi, how are they seeing the government's notion to actually open isikolo namhla, njalo ukuthi were they teachers varayiridzi vangarikho here kuzvikoro nasi. Let's head over to Dr. Sifiso Ndlovu and hear ukuthi what was going on.
Ababalisi ade bemele bahambe, abanye behlulekile ukuhamba, besehlulwa i-transport, baswele indlela zokuhamba nangu phela akula mabhasi kakhulu labade bemekhalele ukuthi baye emaphandleni. Lanxa bebefisa ukuhamba abanye baswelelayo imali, ngoba abanye bakhona bese besithi ukuthi bayagada ama-lift ba-charge phela imali nge-forex, bona-ke abayiholi i-forex. Okwesibili, ama-thermometers la okuthiwa angani angumbhobho la athatha abantu bekhatshana kawakho ezikolweni. Kanye zemadolobheni zishotile eziningi. Kanti-ke labazali bakhala ukuthi abalamali yokuthenga ngoba imali yakhona nangu phela ifunekala nge-forex ukuthi uthenge lokhuyana. So kuyatshengisela ukuthi lanxa kuzavulwa laba abavulwela, laba abanelise ukuhamba bazabe sebesiyazibophela nje baze baskrinwa ngendlela efaneleyo. Kanti-ke uhulumende la ubhange wenza i-training yesikhekhe abeza ngempelaviki ezama ukugcwalisa lokho kwakufakwe yikhoti ukuthi akwenziwe kwangavulwa. Kodwa-ke abanye abantu ade bekhona befundisana ukuthi kanti kusebenza njani. bephiwa lezikhundla zokuthi ngizaba ngu-health master umuntu evele engazange abe ngumuntu ofundele lokho. Ngaleyo ndlela-ke kusho ukuthi lalabo abahambileyo baza kubona kunzima ukusebenza kathi le mpilo yabo iyabe ingavikelekanga. Abafundi baza kuza namamaski abo emakhaya kuthiwa akhona sezikolweni, kodwa sesibuze abaningi abasesikolweni bebengawubona lawo mamaski, kanti-ke obese kukhona ngamanzi lawo okugeza ayisula amagciwane.
Bakhona yini ababalisi abasebefundisile ukuthi basebenzise imitshina leya yokuvikela ukumemetheka komkhuhlane we-coronavirus?
Bakhona balutshwana-ke nje abanye bakhona bebengikhona betrainwa, kanti ngempela-viki abanye ade bethiwa bayatrainwa ngolesihlanu kuthiwa trainer la yasesikole futhi ayifundisa omunye. Hayi, ngibona ngathi kwenziwe isikhekhekhe. Uhulumende uyiphekele emoyeni sibili. Kule mbozo enkulu esizayibona-ke kule mhloliso yalo nyaka le kaJune 2020.
Njengoba yena uhulumende uthi uza kuqhubekela phambili evule izikolo, kuzabe kusebenza njani, kuzabe kuhamba njani?
Yikho singakwaziyo ukuthi kuyasebenza njani nxa sisho ukuthi kule ngxabangxoza nje khona lokho. Basiphendulile sibili ababalisi abaningi sebeze becabangela ukuthi mhlawumbe thina esibalahlele igama. Kanti besikhuluma ngalinto kusukela ngenyanga kaMabasa ngo-April ukuthi ake silungiseleni sisiya phambili lapha siplan. Kodwa ngikubonayo ukuthi uhulumende usuke wasesehluleka ukuthi afake amaplani adlulileyo. Nanku le mali ibingakaphumi, bathi bona bazuza imali ngolesithathu isivela kuNongqongqoshe wezemali 11 million iyade betatazela ngayo bebhoda ilizwe lonke leli bedinga izinto lezi ukuthi zibe khona ezikolweni. Kanti sokusela amalanga kuphela amabili. Ngazi ukuthi okwehluleyo ukuthi batshintshe ilanga leli kuyini.
So ababalisi abangaphandle kwenhlanganiso yezimtha bazabe bekhona esikolo kuzini?
Ukuthi bazabe bekhona kumbe hatshi sokungumzwangedwa phela nanku phela izimseki lapho nxa ingenisa umuntu ukuthi azoqhatshwa ukuthi avigilate kuba isivumelwano sakhe lalowo mbalisi. Bangaba khona abanye abazidingeleyo abazahamba. Engibazwileyo-ke mina ebesenzela bathe bona kabafake impilo yabo engozini befakela imali endlutshwana kangaka, okusho ukuthi silakho ukuthi sibe lezikolo ezizaswela ama-invigilators agcweleyo.
Abafundi bona ngokwabo siyazi vele ukuthi lapha okwavala isikolo eningi labo abasatholanga ithuba lokufunda kahle. Bona batholile na ithuba lokulungiselela ama-exams abo?
Mina ngokwazi wami ngazi ukuthi umfundi kumele umlolonge, ubuye njalo umfake umfutho ukuthi ayihlala phansi ahlangane lo mhloliso. Lokho-ke ababalisi azange balithola ithuba lokuthi bakwenze. Bavela nje emakhaya abafundi bobuye bedumela kuphela ibhuku bebhala lokhu abakubhalayo, kutsho ukuthi bazangena besebenzisa lolo lwazi.
Ngicela ukuthi uphosele amazwi wakho okugcina.
Bengukucela ukuthi aluba kusenzakala uhulumende ngawe uyazama ukuthi aginye ilitshe abese fuqela phambili njengeviki baqedise amalungiselelo ezezifundo lezi.
All right, Muria Zimbabwe, that was Udokotela Sfiso Ndlovu. He is a member of Izimtha, like Ungumbalisi naye and Dimrairitsi. So basically here, Dr. Ndlovu highlighted 6 different points. The first one is he agrees ukuthi ngempela the temperature checks are being done at schools. However, few teachers have been trained to be able to use these machines. And so he feels as though the preparation process was not enough and they needed more time to prepare more teachers to be able to use the necessary equipment to that ensure safety from contraction of COVID-19. He also asks, why couldn't we just wait another week or 2 to ensure that more schools are prepared? Because at this rate, schools are not equally prepared, so not all centers are safe for writing. He also highlights, when I asked them, did teachers go to school, especially those that are under Zimtha? Were they in attendance of schools today? He says, you know what, it's difficult to say because some teachers did sign an agreement with Zimsec to say that they will be in attendance. However, from those that he has heard of, not a lot are in attendance because they feel as though A, the money being provided is not enough, and B, the environment itself is not the safest of environments. And so not a lot of teachers were in attendance. This is according to Dr. Sfiso Ndlovu of Zimta. And now, when it comes to student preparations, Dr. Ndlovu highlighted the same thing that the Julian parliamentarian was basically highlighting, saying that students are not prepared to write their exams. They wrote namusha, but they feel as though because of the fact that schools were cut short in the in the earlier term, students didn't have enough interaction with their teachers for them to be well prepared. Dr. Ndlovu also highlights, he says, you know what, he himself as an educator believes in the style whereby you sit down with your students and you walk them through as they prepare for their examinations. Now he's highlighting that this is something that not a lot of students got to do before they had to kickstart writing their examinations. Namhla babhalile phela iphepha elesingisi elesikhiwa banyora phepha re chirungu. So he's saying that not a lot of students might have done well because they might not have been prepared. The same thing was highlighted by the Julia parliamentarian earlier on. Saka nthiyo yathi nayo muri eZimbabwe 20 maondreyu munokwanisa kuti text up WhatsApp pa number zinoti +1 202 465 0318. Once again, unfortunately, muri eZimbabwe, this program is pre-recorded, so you're not able to join us as per usual. Nokuti tiri kutepfenyura tiri kudzimba zvisinei tiri pano pachirongwa chedu chevechidiki wohlelo The Connection. Now earlier on I highlighted ukuthi we asked some of you guys to send us voice notes telling us your input, giving us your input on whether or not Zimbabwean schools should reopen and whether or not Zimbabwe is ready for schools to reopen. Let's head over to some of those listeners. Let's hear what they had to say about ukuvulwa kwezikolo namhla.
Salibonani basakazi labalaleli baka Studio 7 nalombuzo lapho ukuthi kathi manje njengoba abantwana bazabhala imhloliso laba kuthiwa bazabhala imhloliso bazabhala bevela ngaphi njengoba abanye abantwana basemadolobheni abanye basemakhaya kumele babhale besezindaweni lapha kade bebhalise khona bazabhalela bekhona bazahamba ngani njengoba kulamabhasi imota kazikho ezokuthi bagade besiya lapho kumele babhalele bekhona bazahamba ngani labo bantwana incwadi zankhona bazazithatha ngaphi ezokuthi bahambe njalo indlela okubuye ngayo masinyane phongo kuthiwa mhloliso uzabhalwa ngelanga elinje kunzima la kubazali ukuthi bazayithatha ngaphi imali yokuthi abantwana labo ba-travel besiyabhala imhloliso yabo. Okunye kumele sikukhangele ukuthi inani labantu abale-corona liyaqonga kangaka. Yabona laba bantwana lapha basuka khona bazasuka bele-corona besiyahlanganyela labanye abantwana. Njengabantwana vele siyakwazi abantwana bayadlala, abantwana bayenza loba yini engakhangelelwanga. So uzaba lomemetheko okukhulu. Amatitsha angikhona vele ezindaweni ezitshiyeneyo njalo engathestwanga sebuye ezohlangana ndawonye siyahlangana labantwana. Shuwa ngabe kuthiwa kumile lokho bamelele ukuthi kufike isikhathi sabo September leso kutshisa basebebhalisa abantwana imhloliso. Mina ukuthi kuthiwa bayabhala khathesi bengaboni kulinyathelo elihle sibili.
makadi muri Studio 7 kwesokwamburi koko tsarango ndini nyakudirwa the king ndo madedzera ndosita izvo nyakudirwa the king mufi yekutanga tinotora danho iroro danho rakati nake rekuti vana vadzokere kuchikoro zvinokudzwa zvisingaiti nekuti dzidzo ndo nhaka yeupenyu sekukura kwatakaita tichinzwa kuti dzidzo ndo nhaka yeupenyu. Zvava zvakaoma kuti vana vasadzokere kuchikoro nekuti vabereki vakabhadhara mari dzavo vamwe vakabhadhara mari dzekuti vanyore maexam fee. Education ndiyo yatakatarisira tese asi nekuda kwechirwere chiriko ichi takutongokurudzirawo zvakafanira takatarisira ticha kwatotopira kana kuti kwatinotarisa chinonzi batsiro kana kuti ziso kana kuti ruoko rwakakura kuhurumende yedu. Kana hurumende yedu ine care nevana ichiziva kuti vana ndo remangwana, vana ndo vatungamiri vemangwana, dai zvaikwanisika vatsvaga imwe nzira yekuti vakwanise kusuplya zvikwanisiro zvakaita semasanitizer, maglovos, mamask even kuchikoro.
Alright, murukunzwa vateereri vari kuzvitaurirawo abalaleli bayazikhulumela ngempela umbono wavo phezu kokuvulwa kwesikolo. Vateereri aiwa tinotenda zvikurusa to everybody that sent their voice notes. +12024650318 is the number if you're also looking to contribute. Now, it wouldn't be necessary. We can't have a conversation about umkhuhlane we-coronavirus without bringing in the medical experts themselves, ngoba yibo abazwisisayo ukuthi kahle kahle kuyini okwenzakalayo elizweni, njalo ukuthi can we open schools, yes or no? Is Zimbabwe ready? Njalo ukuthi what would happen if we do open schools and what to expect now that schools have opened. So let's head over to an interview that I had with Dr. Tinotendas Memeza about the opening of schools. He also touches on other questions that we remember earlier on. We asked you all to send us questions and we asked you all to give us your input. So Dr. Memeza and I were discussing the questions and the input that you all sent us. Saka tinotenda zvikurusa, tinokurudzirai kuti muendere mberi muchitumira mibvunzo uyezve maondero enyu paWhatsApp nepaFacebook. Tinotenda zvikuru. Let's head over to the interview that I had with Dr. Memeza. Dr. Memeza, how you doing?
How are you doing, Mike? How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us on the show again.
Sure, man. Always a pleasure.
Now, let's run through these questions that the listeners had for you. They were still talking about coronavirus. We're looking at the numbers. The numbers are still increasing by the day in Zimbabwe. We have an additional death now. We're now at 7, and increasing. So I figured let me bring you on, talk a little more about that, and have you answer some of the questions that the listeners have for you. So the first question that I have for you was written by one of our listeners. He's asking about the issue of masks. They're asking, how important is it to wear a mask? And what is the correct way of wearing it? Nokutanziwa noMzimbabwe munenge muri kupfeka mamask nemastaira, vamwe vari kuisa kunge inenge iri scarf, vamwe havasi kuvhara muromo. What is the correct way of wearing a mask?
So, okay. For wearing a mask, ideally, what you are aiming to cover is your nasal and your oral airways.
Mm-hmm.
So your mask should be able to cover your nose, the top part of your nose,
Mm-hmm.
and also completely.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be hanging or should be dangling around, but it should be able to cover your nasal and your oral airways. So
is there any specific reason as to why Vanu should be wearing my mask?
The specific reason is the coronavirus is okay. It affects many parts of the body, like the gastric system, the stomach, the brain, and so forth. But it has been discovered that its main area of where it resides, where it stays, is in the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
So the closest pathway to the lungs is through the mouth and the nose. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why mask iri kufana kupfekwa specifically to cover those areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's move over through to some of the other questions. Another question that someone was asking, RDT test and my PCR test. They were asking, saying that when someone tests positive for COVID after taking an RDT test, they found out that someone then has to take a PCR test as a follow-up. Is that the case? And if so, why?
Yes. So I think we tried to discuss it the other time, to say the RDT test is sort of like I can say it helps as a screening tool. It's not really specific for corona. It can test other things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a positive RDT, it doesn't mean you have corona. It may also mean that you may have other things like malaria and so forth, because sometimes even the RDT can also test positive in malaria patients.
Mm-hmm.
So with the PCR and the test really specific to say this is definitely corona.
Mm-hmm.
And So if you see the way PCR is taken, a nasal swab, then we put it in the nose, kwatati kunogara corona, kwainofarira kugara. Or you put it in the mouth, down the throat, then take a sample there. So that one, the PCR test is then specific to say, no, this is corona or this is not corona. So that's the problem we have with RDT. Sometimes it can give us false positives. So that the RDT may be positive, but it might not be corona. So that's why we are encouraging PCR tests to be done more than the RDT test.
Which, when I was looking at the stats, government seem to be upping more on the PCR than they are on the RDT. But with that all in mind, what's the point of the RDT then? Some resources they can RDT and then we follow up no PCR.
No. It's so it helps as a screening tool. So you are trying to screen as to say what are the possible cases that might be active. So the RDT helps in that regard to say, okay, if an RDT is positive, the person is likely, the probability that the person may have corona is high, or the chance that the person might have corona is also high. So let's then do a specific test so as to see if this is corona or not. So RDT helps in that regard. So it's not a final, we can't say it's a final pathway to say, this person is corona or not, but it helps in terms of screening people.
Now, the next one is panemwe comment munangachitara nezve treatment ye-coronavirus. Let they now be medicine taneta ne-coronavirus. Hans, is there going to be a treatment for COVID-19 anytime soon?
Okay, I think let me just clarify this. So there's a difference between treatment and cure. Most of the time, cure is to say you have eradicated the disease completely. You're not going to be affected by it. And treatment is to help with the symptoms and to improve the symptoms. So what happens with viruses are difficult to cure, but they can be treated to say we can help alleviate the symptoms. So if you see the flu always comes back again and again because it's a virus. It can be cured, but now the effects of it are now a bit reduced. So what will help us in the long run with coronavirus is if we can get a vaccine. So people get, I know there are people who are anti-vaxxers out there, but vaccines do work. So if people get the vaccine, your immune system is developed such that it can fight against the condition if you by any chance get it later on. So in the long run, we need a vaccine as treatment. But research so some of the research that is coming out is showing that there's a drug called dexamethasone. But this is only being used for people who have extreme lung infection, who can't breathe well, shortness of breath. So they're now using corticosteroids called dexamethasone, which was said had good results in terms of alleviating the extreme symptoms. So we still need to be more patient up until a vaccine is developed and it's tested and seen that it's safe to administer to human beings.
But hope is on the way that there may or may not be a vaccine sometime soon.
Yeah, there are a lot of trials going on all over the world. I think the whole world is trying to, not so much in Africa, but the rest of the world is trying to develop a vaccine that might help in terms of preventing the condition.
All right.
So right now, the best medicine to prevent.
That is the best way. Okay, that's dope. All right. Another question that someone sent. They were now stressing about what's happening in Zimbabwe, my nurses, with the nurses striking and so forth. So they were wondering, how is the nurses and doctors strike affecting COVID management in Zimbabwe?
So I think that question needs a bit of background. We know that I think it's common knowledge that there's been a back and forth between civil servants and the government, health workers and the government. I remember the past 5 months ago, the doctors declared incapacitation, and it just went full circle. So right now, I think last week the nurses then also declared like incapacitation, citing the same reasons that the economy, there's hyperinflation, so the salaries are not matching up, and so forth. So in regards to that history and so forth, our health system hasn't been functioning to full capacity anyway. So this then compromises the level of skill that is attending to patients, and the quality of work that is being done is already being compromised from over the years. So within this current situation whereby the economy is continuing to worsen, we tend to see that we lose a lot of health workers in that regard. So yeah, the situation is dire, and we need to act as soon as possible so that everyone is back to work and everyone is we are giving full capacity care to the patients. So yeah, we are seeing that we are indeed in a compromised position at the moment.
Sakapari, you know, how are you guys working? Is it that you have closed hospitals in totality, or you're working in shifts? How is it working?
No. We haven't closed down hospitals. The hospitals are functioning. You will be attended to, but just to say the efficiency has been compromised. It's not what we desire.
Right.
Oh yeah, but
All right.
hospitals are open.
Okay. Now let's move over to now the rest of the questions that we have that seem to be in relation to something big that is happening in Zimbabwe nasi. Schools reopening. Vanhu vazhinji vanenge vari kuchema. People are watching what's happening kune nyika dzakasiyana-siyana, especially our neighbors, South Africa, whereby schools opened and immediately a lot of people contracted COVID within schools. Some have even had to re-shut down and so forth. With Zimbabwe reopening schools today, the first question is it safe for Zimbabwe to reopen schools?
All right, I think I'll start with the comment on South Africa. So you see what happened in South Africa. Okay, let me just clarify this. The results that are coming out is because people have been tested, right? So when we say that there's an increase in cases, it means that we just have more people that have tested positive. But in reality, there might be more people on the ground who are positive but just haven't been tested. So when they opened schools, they also increased their level of testing. So these are people who might have been positive all along, but now because they've increased their level of testing, the results are now shooting up. It doesn't necessarily mean it's because of the opening of the schools that people contracted, but it just means they became more robust in terms of testing.
Right.
So which will directly result in the number of positive tests increasing.
Right.
So since I've clarified that, we've seen that there are a lot of conditions attached to reopening of schools. And I don't think we are there yet as Zimbabweans. But if you see how South Africa have been doing it, there's a minimum of number of students that have to be in a class, desk separation, sanitizing the areas where the pupils will be, and also strict hand sanitizing and hand washing. So there are a lot of factors that are being considered to then say we should open up schools. Then you see, also to note again, in the UK, they were saying they were prioritizing children of health workers. to say the health workers are mostly at work and so forth, then they can open up the schools just for the health workers. Then the rest can be via Zoom meetings and so forth. So there are a lot of conditions that we need to meet before we can safely say, hey, let's open up schools. So we need to be vigilant in that regard, as to say, are the standards that are required of social distancing for particular schools ready for us to do that. And we see we have different schools from different areas and different capacities. So we have to really address a particular school in regards to its structure, as to say, can we then go according to that plan?
Now, as you highlighted, when schools in South Africa opened, the case amount increased, obviously, due to more testing. Can we expect the same in Zimbabwe?
Yes, we should expect the same. If we begin to test more, and by testing I mean PCR, if we start being more rigorous in terms of our testing, we should expect cases to shoot up. And these are cases that are testing positive. So it doesn't necessarily mean there are people who are out there who are positive, but just haven't been tested and they have mild symptoms and don't see they haven't realized that they have it. So, but when you test, you sort of like unmask that hidden figure that is there. So there will be a rise. Mathematically, there should be a rise.
But now, does this not contribute to the community spreading that's already going on that we're trying to curb?
No. If we then identify positive cases, we quickly isolate them. We quickly implement social distancing. We then identify our hotspots. So it will actually, although yes, people will be scared of the rise, but it will help us in terms of managing the and preventing the condition on the ground.
So basically, from our conversation here, I've gathered what you're basically saying is people should not fear the increase of cases because that's bound to happen anyway.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Now, another comment, Hansi, why doesn't Zimbabwe from my church first before opening schools? Is there any validity behind this? Should Zimbabwe explore reopening other social spheres first before opening schools?
There is validity in saying yes, those circles should be opened, but not to say first.
Okay.
So I think from what I'm gathering from what that person is suggesting is to say these are sort of like institutions that are necessary for social
Social life, right?
and your mental health. Churches are for interaction, mental health, also the same. I think they function in the same sort of capacity as bars as well, to say it's a social circles and people really enjoy the entertainment, and also, so it's more to do with mental health. I think there are other ways we can address mental health issues before, let's say, opening those institutions.
Right.
Unless they meet the required rigorous guidelines that are stated. If you can't meet those guidelines, I don't think it's necessary to open those.
Of which, I mean, churches have opened in the country. Takaona Mchungamiro Nyika announced that, people can now go to church as long as you don't overflow and you don't go over the 50 capacity. I don't know about bars, but
but that's the thing. The 50 capacity, we have mega churches, and bringing 50 people coming to congregate, it doesn't make sense to them. So, so like I said, every sort of law or rule that we are applying should also be see what sort of structure is there, so
Right.
that you apply accordingly, because there are mega churches with 30,000 people, and if you say 50 come,
That's a
we need to
small
balance that out.
fraction, right?
Yeah.
But I think another thing that this caller and follower seems to be alluding to is, uh, should we not be exploring the effect of COVID on these spheres that are, I guess, targeted towards more social interaction before we explore opening schools first? At least now, once we've figured out what's going on in the churches and in the bars, kuti okay, ndiko kunonyatsotsagana vanhu vakawanda uko, and these are the effects of COVID in these areas. At least now it's safe to open schools. What do you think of that?
I think that applies to every aspect in terms of schools, churches, and bars. I think it's the same thing, because these are places where people gather, and we don't want to risk anyone. I think one person for a family can be 30 people, can be 3,000 people per country. You know what I mean? Like, if one person dies in a family, it can have really adverse effects.
That's right.
It's something that we should risk lives, just for the sake of trying to experiment and to see. I think we should be intelligent about it, the way we do it, such that we protect the masses, but also we protect the families primarily.
All right. Now, my last question, Dr. Smemez, Tichipeta Urukuredu. Some of the callers and our listeners seem to be talking about some of the schools were being used as quarantine facilities. What should happen to these schools that were being used as quarantine facilities before they can now accommodate Vana Vechko?
Okay. So ideally, I think we discussed this to say the virus survives on surfaces for a period. It also survives in the human system for a longer period, but when it is outside the host, it survives for about 72 hours at most, depending on the surface that it's on. So ideally, for schools or institutions that were quarantine facilities, we should wait before people start coming in, and we should disinfect the places with the specific detergents that are needed, and then after everything has been done according to book, we then allow those places to open.
And how is there a specific period before between the spraying of detergents and all that and opening the schools? How long do people have to wait between those periods?
So I haven't really. I don't want to lie to say I've really studied about it and seen how it works. But ideally, they say on surface, without doing anything, the virus just naturally dies on a surface in 72 hours.
Okay.
But the thing to do with times and when, it's just to make sure
that it's gone.
There's no longer anything. So I don't know the specific times, but we should aim to study areas. There are other places that have been doing the same thing, so we should also look how they've been doing it and then incorporate it according to our situation. But I don't know the specific times, but just to delay it so that we make sure that there's no active virus still lying around the institution.
Dr. Tinotenda Smemeza, sithanda ukubonga udokotela Tinotenda Smemeza. That was our medical expert. Ethinta phela udaba lokuvulwa kwesikolo abangachitaura oka maondo avo senyanji inonyatsonzwisisa nyaya dzeutano maondo avo. Zimbabwe, should they have open schools, yay or nay? Let's head over to another set of callers. Sizwe ukuthi bona bakubona njani lokho kwenzakalayo elizweni. Then we'll wrap up our conversation by reading the Facebook comments that I asked you all to put. Let's head over to the callers first.
Njani basakazi mina ngiyaphila ngikona ngaphothinasi lenkinga kakhulu lapha esikhona i-corona le ihlupha kakhulu nxa sikhangele kakhulu kwele Zimbabwe i-corona ibambile kakhulu isicela uhulumende azame icebo masinyane kungakabi kubi kakhulu eZimbabwe ngakhangela into zakithi kwele Zimbabwe nje ziwile zonke akukho nje lokodwa okulungileyo sicela uhulumende nje azame icebo
makadiko washamarari westudio 7 ini ndinoitwa ngoni inini ndinoti danho ratorwa nehurumende iri rekuda kuti vana vaende kuchikoro rinokonzeresa njodzi huru chaizvo munyika dei vanga vambomira kwambodziya ezvino zvikuri kutonhora chirwere checoronavhairasi ndo pachinonyanya kutekeshera munguva yekutonhora iyi havasi kuona here zviri kuitika kuSouth Africa kuti macases acho ari kuramba achikwira saka isusu nemamiriro akaita upfumi hwedu hweZimbabwe hatizokwanisa kurwisa denda iri dei vambomisa zvekuti vana vaende kunonyora bvunzo dzavo dzamuna Juni
Zaluluhlupho esinalo kakhulu basakazi kwelakithi eZimbabwe asilabakhokheli silababusi so laba bantu bayabusa nje awulanto abayenzayo ukuthi bengakwazi ukucabangela uzulu kumbe abantu bayabusa bona as long bona bephila besidla mnandi besenza konke ngoba manje bayazi bona ukuthi yibo i-corona ngeke ifike bale indlela zokuthi bona bazivikele noma bengaba la i-corona bayakwazi ukuthi bona bangabantu abalemali abangazilaphisa kodwa-ke uzulu ngiyoluhlupho ngoba khathesi ngakhala umkhono omwele zuwile but kibo bona bakuboni lokho konke ngoba kibo ku-right yabona yile nkinga esilayo eZimbabwe ingabe silabakhokheli abakwazi ukukhokhela abantu ngendlela eqondileyo ngabe ilakithi ku-right eZimbabwe manje inkinga silababusi ababusi babo bayabusa abakhokheli laba bantu
Chirongwati connection namoyine ni Mike Hove muri Zimbabwe sesiyafika phela emathiphethelweni ohlelo lwethu lwalamhlanje nasi mchirongwati angathi chibatha nyaya yezvechirwere che-coronavirus. Let's head over to the Facebook comments singakagqibi ingxoxo yethu singakagqibi uhlelo lwethu lwabasakhulayo. Now kupage redu le-VOA shona ayiwa vanhu vakanyora amahondo awo zvekurusa tinotenda zvekurusa siyalukhuthaza ngempela uzulu kanti abaqhubekani lisibhalela phela imibono yenu qhubekelani phambili lisithumezela ama voice notes that we're going to be using lapha uhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo. It brings that interaction that I missed ngempela Zulu kanti but thank you so much to everybody that wrote their comments and thank you so much to everybody that sent their voice notes. Now let's head over to the comments themselves. Etkona pa page redu re VOA shona hanzi na shame chogara iniwo maondo angu ndeye kuti zvikoro hanzi zvingavhurwe asi pachitwa ma shifts kuti grade 1 3, 5 in a certain time to a certain time, then 2, 4, 6, and 7 also another time, and allow my hot seating as they give more chance to social distancing. So as secondary schools, because we have a lot of people who are affected before, like pupils who were in school in 2008 up to 2015, they couldn't receive enough education. Most of them were dropouts. So we have people who have nothing at all in such a generation. So if schools remain unopened, then as a country, we might lose a lot of skills. Aiwa tinotenda vatogara hanzi naBrian zvikoro imbomira ikuvhura chirwere chikatekeshera nenyika. It will come another wave tikazotadza kuicontrola hanzi ndapedza nemi sengiqedile ngempela. Siyabona ngempela kulabanye ababhalileyo hanzi na look people's lives matter the most. Education can always wait. Worst, what's the rush when there are no jobs in Zimbabwe? Kumanya kuvhura zvikoro kunge vana kugrida vane mabasa avakamirira. So ilo umbono gaLuke Rangwani uyabhala ngempela ukuthi impilo umphefumulo is more important than isikolo. Angazi ukuthi liyavumelana lo Luke na nxa livuma ngicela liphela libhale phela umbono kukhasi lethu ele VOA Ndebele bhalani ku comment section ukuze sibone phela imibono yenu. uLoriet Dliwayo uthi corona yakuita semunhu sure cause zvaMwari hazvidai hanzi wakauraya zvirwere zvakawanda zvichienderana nekuwanira mishonga like Ebola nguva duku yanga yapera AIDS chaiyo yakawanirwa mishonga macycle chaiwo anoenda asi corona gore negore now I think hashtag yavadai yakwana hanzi senyika dzose dzakuvhura zvikoro. Yeah, yilolo umbono ka Laureate Dliwayo. Let's read the last question bese sigqiba phela ingxoxo yethu bese sigqiba uhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo. uStuart Maveneke uthi corona chirwere chinotapuranwa like flu, so zvikoro ngazvimbomirwa kuvhura kusvika pawanikwa nzira iri nani isingaisi vana panjodzi. That's umbono ga Stuart Maveneke. But there's also abanye abantu ngempela that sent us ama comments abo ku WhatsApp asithanda ukulibonga ngempela. Let's see ukuthi abantu bathini ku WhatsApp yethu. Lingakhohlwa izulu kandaba lakho ukusithumezela imibono yenu ku WhatsApp ku nombolo ethi +1 202 465 0318. Now another comment umuntu lo akasaqambanga phela ibizo lakhe. Hansi, school opening under the circumstances are a serious health risk to our kids. The country is not prepared, no testing is done, and there are no proper preventative measures in schools. So ndiwo maondro ari kupiwa nevanhu asi imusakangano ehurumende iwo pache zvavo vati aiwa schools are ready. We saw earlier on a clip that we showed where abantu ngempela were being tested nalo mbhobholo aya, which is checking temperature yabantwana ukubona ukuthi those with high temperatures maybe bazabatshela ukuthi ima kancane, come back another day maybe when your temperatures are low. Njalo abanye ngempela if your temperature is too high balakho ukukhangela ukuthi ngcono sikuhlole sibone ukuthi ulawo yini umkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus. Siphinde sabona njalo ivideo abantwana besikolo bengakangeni phela ema-classrooms lapha where they were going to write ama-examinations abo begeza izandla with sanitizers, njalo bengakangeni ngempela begqoka lokhu ngama-socks ukuvikela ukumemetheka komkhuhlane. So those are some of the stances, the things that our government has set up to ensure ukuthi umkhuhlane lo we-coronavirus doesn't spread in Zimbabwean schools. But now, is that enough? Asazi, we had an interview with Dr. Sfiso Ndlovu earlier on, whereby he was saying ukuthi yena njengombalisi, he himself as an educator and as a member of ZIMTA, a lot of people, a lot of teachers don't feel as though government has done everything and taken every precaution to ensure that coronavirus doesn't spread in schools. They feel as though government rushed to open schools. We even heard Dr. Ndlovu saying, why couldn't government just wait another week or two to ensure that more teachers are trained how to use these machines, that gun machine that is used to check temperature, to ensure more teachers are well equipped to combat certain circumstances. So those are the discussions that we had. Namhla kuhlelo lwethu labasakhulayo zulukandaba sesifikile phela emaphethelweni wohlelo lwethu labasakhulayo. As we speak, 574 people have tested positive for COVID-19. 107 dead, my apologies, and 152 have recovered. So those are the stats in the country. Lingakhohlwa phela zulukandaba ukuthi uhlelo lolu is pre-recorded. Urombo muri Zimbabwe, you're not able to join this conversation as per usual. Jisine muri Zimbabwe munokwanisa kutinyorera pa WhatsApp number +1 202 465 0318. Wanele kwalamhla mthakazo muhle Zimbabwe muhle chinobhururuka chinomara tasvika kumagumo echirongwa chedu chanhasi. Vanhu vakukurukuraneni ndiri pa Twitter nepa Instagram @BigMike3 BIGMYKE3. Lingakhohlwa phela ukufitizela lapha okubhalwe ukuthi share njalo like ukuze sibukele uhlelo lolu ngobunengi bethu. Muri Zimbabwe tasvika kumagumo anokuoneka enemfaro. Ndinonyu Mike Hove. Let us meet same time, same place, Pano Panepenyure Studio 7. Bye-bye!